Hello. This is audio journal day 5. That should be easy because, remember the 5th of November, but turns out I'm just not that good at remembering what day it is or what date it is. So there was a specific thing that I have been wanting to talk about. And I felt the need to issue a warning again that I'm not an expert. And then that made me think about the fact that I feel the need to say that, even when it's something that I've been reading about for quite a long time and actually know quite a lot about. I think it's like... So a little bit, well, I say a little bit, a big bit is that I'm genuinely very afraid of, I don't know if you guys remember, I think it was last year, I think it was Naomi Wolf. There was that horrible moment where she was being interviewed on Radio 4 about her most recent book, and the presenter broke it to her that her entire premise, her entire argument in the book was based on a mistranslation of an old legal term, and there was just that horrible, really cringy, really embarrassing moment where it became clear that she was realising live on air that she had no idea what she was talking about and that she'd been found out. And I'm very much afraid of ever experiencing that moment. The first year that I graduated from university, I had a studio in Hebden Bridge, and we had to write, there was a big board up in the hall where you had to put up a bio about, a one sentence line about what each studio holder did. And it was the first time that I'd had to write a professional bio. And I really didn't know... I think you only find out about what your practice is by making work, and when you're very new, you kind of don't know what sort of artist you are yet. I mean, sometimes I still feel like I don't know what sort of artist I am, but I've got a lot better idea at 29 than I did at 21. So I had to write this bio. And we had a deadline to do it because we had an open studios event every year. And the thing that I wrote was, Letty McHugh is an artist, writer and illustrator. She's exactly like Leonardo da Vinci, only not as good. Which is you and I know that that's really obviously a joke. I'm messing about. But after it had been up maybe 18 months, maybe longer, it's becoming really clear across this series that time means nothing to me, so I don't know when things happened. But after it had been up for a while, there was a new studio member who was a retired art lecturer who spent 60% of the year in Tuscany. And he was exactly what you would imagine about a guy who is a retired art lecturer who spends 60% of the year in Tuscany. And one day he came up to me and he asked me about this bio, which is really obviously just a daft joke that I had written because I didn't know what to put. And he started asking me really in-depth questions about Leonardo da Vinci, and he was oh well, Da Vinci was an engineer. Do you do an engineering? That's my generic voice that I just do for posh people. That's not actually what he sounded like. Just by the way. And I was really stumped as to what to say. I mean, obviously I don't do any engineering, but I don't really know anything about Leonardo da Vinci. It's I know that he is one of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but I couldn't tell you whether he is cool but crude or a party dude. on reflection, going through the Ninja Turtles theme song in my head, I think he probably did do machines. That would make sense. But I'm not confident. And I think I basically live in fear when talking about history or art theory or like social theory in any kind of public writing or public, like sharing it on social media or like speaking about it. I live in constant fear that somebody somewhere is just going to stand up and go, just expose the fact that I don't know what I'm talking about, or that I've based my entire thesis on a mistranslation. But I think that's a little bit silly, to be honest, especially because I think the cool thing about being an artist who's making work inspired by stuff, instead of like being an academic that's making a particular argument in any one direction or the other, is that it sort of doesn't really matter if you've made a mistake, because the point is that it inspires thought, right? So if I start reading about history in order to, for instance, like I'm reading about medieval stuff, as I said in the earlier one, I actually know if it's medieval or not. Some of it's pre-medieval. It doesn't really matter if I make mistakes like that about like what time it happened or like what the date is, what the time period was, because the point is that it inspires me to draw parallels with like my current experience, and it inspires me like in my most recent project, Seaworthy Vessel, at the start of the project, I had misunderstood something about the definition of seaworthiness and how that definition worked, and in the end learning about that definition became part of the journey of the project. And because I'm an artist and not, a sea captain, it didn't matter that I had made that mistake. Actually, it enriched the project. Whereas if I was a sea captain, that could have been a very serious situation. I maybe would have been fined, or maybe, would have sunk a boat and died, which is maybe a bit bleak, but whatever. So I think that I need to loosen up a little bit with my worry about stating things publicly that people could disagree with or could argue with or could tell me that I've got the facts wrong. Because I don't think that I'm doing it on the basis of like, hello, here I am, noted scholar of social theory, Letty McHugh. I think I'm just doing it from the perspective of, here I am, enthusiastic amateur who is excited about stuff, is generally my position when I'm engaging in the world. And I also increasingly, I had a realization a couple of years ago that the reason that I feel uncomfortable talking about art theory, even though I know quite a bit about it in a public forum, is basically internalized sexism, and maybe even a little bit internalized classism. It's the fact that I have this accent and I don't know how to pronounce the names. I've learned most of it out of books, and I've never really been in a position where I've had a lot of people to like discuss it with who I didn't feel like we're really going to judge me for making mistakes. That's actually, I'm sort of secretly, but I guess not secretly anymore because this is going to go out in public, but I'm working with some people at developing like an informal, non-judgmental art theory discussion group, which I'm really hoping is going to take off and get off the ground. We've been talking about it for quite a few months, and it keeps not happening, but I think it's because it's an idea that's being floated between very well-meaning but very busy people, me being one of them, who are really enthusiastic about this idea. but just don't have time. If you're listening to this and you're like, hey, you know what, I would absolutely love to take part in a art theory discussion group for enthusiastic amateurs, like, do let me know, because that is a thing that I'm trying to make happen. I now realise that I've talked for 10 minutes about about my reluctance to talk about art theory, so maybe I'll just leave you in like excited suspense about what art theory that we're going to talk about, and talk about that tomorrow. Also, it's stressing me out that my video for yesterday, today's video that should be today, the day I'm recording this, won't upload, so I hope that this isn't just going to end up being a thing that lives on my phone, because I'm a person who very quickly loses enthusiasm for things if it's not going out into the world. I'm not an artist that just labours away in my studio. There has to be a chance for people to see the things for me to see the point in doing it. Anyway, this is the end. I'll see you tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel.